Hello and welcome to Footy Decoder. Today we'll be tactically decoding the game between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur, a game between Mourinho, Mr. Pragmatic, and Pep Guardiola, Mr. Flair. Now, history suggests that any game between Mourinho and Pep will result in Pep trying to hold more of the ball while Mourinho looking to counter-attack him, and this is exactly what happened in this game too. City lined up in a 4-3-3 formation on paper, but the way the game played out, they were basically playing a 3-2-4-1 formation. Tottenham, on the other hand, played a 4-2-3-1 formation. The game started by Ndombele and Harry Kane looking to press the two City centre-backs, Aymeric Laporte and Ruben Dias. As we all know, City like to build the play from the back. To ensure that they retain the numerical advantage in the backline, they transformed the backline into a three-man defense. Walker started playing as an auxiliary centre-back and Cancelo started moving into the midfield, playing as an inverted wing-back come defensive midfielder, forming a two-man pivot with Rodri. This allowed De Bruyne and Bernardo the freedom to move into half spaces. De Bruyne and Mahrez also very often interchange their position, with Mahrez coming inside while De Bruyne going to play on the flanks. Spurs could not have allowed De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva to operate with this freedom, therefore they used Højbjerg and Sissoko to plug this half space. Son and Bergwijn also dropped to help out Sissoko and Højbjerg, and the freedom that City had in these half spaces was no longer available to them. However, this opened an area in the middle of the park for Cancelo and Rodri to operate. To plug this middle space, and Ndombele dropped deeper. Kane also, instead of being isolated up front, dropped deep to play in the hole. Lloris and the Spurs centre-backs could often try to find them through direct balls. They then could look for the surging runs of Son and Bergwijn. This ensured that Spurs remained a counter-attacking threat throughout the course of the game, and it was the primary reason why they emerged as 2-0 winners in this game. In the 4th minute, during one such play, Ndombele found the run of Son, which allowed Son to comfortably slot past Ederson to give Spurs a 1-0 lead. In the 64th minute, Toby Alderweireld found Harry Kane with a direct ball in. Kane then made a surging run towards the Manchester City half and found the arriving run of Giovanni Lo Celso, who comfortably converted past Ederson to give Spurs a 2-0 lead. You can see City enjoyed 66% possession in the game. Spurs had only 34% possession, and only 15% of the gameplay took inside the Spurs third. Despite that, Spurs ended up winning the game, showing their counter-attacking force in the game. City's system of wing overloading was nowhere to be seen in this game. Wing overloading is a system in which City look to concentrate play on one side of the pitch, dragging opposition players out of their positions and then suddenly looking to transition play to the other side of the pitch to exploit gaps that open up. Spurs, however, remained compact and continued to play deep. The average zone of pressing for Spurs was much closer to their third. They barely made any attempts to press City in the middle third of the pitch. They allowed Cancelo and Rodri to move forward as the game went by. Therefore, whenever they countered, they seemed to catch City short of numbers. When Spurs had the ball, they dropped their centre-backs quite deep. City looked to press them through Jesus and one of their wide forwards. Suppose if Torres and Jesus are pressing here, you can see the space available for Aurier. So Spurs pull back with their primary attacking outlets. In one such example, in the 12th minute of the game, Aurier received the ball from the Spurs backline and then had plenty of space to operate. He was easily able to find Bergwijn on the other side of the pitch. The chance resulted in Kane scoring, albeit in an offside position, so the goal was chalked off. The other important incident of the game was Laporte's disallowed goal. Well, there are things that Footy Decoder cannot decode. These are the pictures available as per the new VAR regulations, and based on what the referee indicated, I felt it was not a handball. Most surprising thing was the point where referee indicated the ball hit Gabriel Jesus. Based on that, at least it should not have been a handball. But let us leave it encoded. Goodbye for now.